invocation by Reverend James Greer of Rombard General Baptist Church.
Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for the fullness of life that we have in you. I ask, Father, that your Holy Spirit would be in and amongst this place tonight, that you would allow there to be a peaceful meeting, and that you would guide and convict our city leaders to lead our city in the best possible direction that there is, one that will bring glory to you and prosper everybody. We thank you. We ask this in confidence because we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Councilman DeGaris.
Here.
Councilwoman Abshir.
Here.
Councilman Branham.
Here.
Councilman Tinsley.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Here.
And Mayor Pearson.
Here.
7 present.
Disclosure of interest. Any member of the City Council may disclose any possible conflict of interest dealing with either any item on the printed agenda or with any matter discussed at a previous meeting.
Madam Mayor, I will not be voting on bill number 7746 tonight.
Thank you. Nothing further. We'll move on to citizens' input. Each person in the audience may take this opportunity to address the City Council on any matter which is not on the printed agenda. Seeing none, we will move forward to the workshop required items. Item A, the City Council will discuss amending ordinance number 7540 relative to transferring of easements from the City of Poplar Bluff to Telecommunications Management, LLC. Should be on page 4 of your packets. Is there anyone to discuss this, Mr.
Just a
Castle?
brief explanation, yes. It's when we did the original ordinance, we made the ordinance out to New Wave, and not the legal name of the, that which is a DBA, and so we need to transfer and make sure we put the formal legal name of the corporation on there.
Okay.
That's just a technicality.
Do we need to vote on this tonight?
No, we just moved it to next meeting because we got busy with the working on the ordinances, some other issues came up, so we decided to just put it to the next voting session.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to move this to the voting session, be held the 17th.
Second.
Motion and second to move item A to the voting session on November 17th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the City Council will discuss the selection of an auditing firm for the City of Poplar Bluff for fiscal years 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. Should be in page 9 of your packets. Someone here to discuss this? Hi.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, as you're all aware, we bid out for auditing service for a 4-year term this year. We had 5 bids come in. Had Lisa Wright out of Columbia, Missouri. Her bid for this year was $30,000. The committee felt that this firm did not have much experience auditing municipalities, and she had a very small staff. Maloney, Wright, and Robbins out of Farmington, Missouri. Their bid was for $51,000. In the back of the bids, there's a rating, and they had a pass, but they had deficiencies in the rating. They didn't keep up their continuing education credits, and that was a big red flag for the auditing committee. The third firm was KPM out of Springfield, Missouri. Their bid was for $40,900 for 2014. The opinion on that was they underestimated their hours. They were almost half what some of the other auditing firms were. Although they said they wouldn't charge us for extra hours, we felt like, even though that's true, we didn't want to come away with an audit that wasn't satisfactory. We didn't want them to cut corners. The fourth firm, Kraft, Miles & Tatum here in Poplar Bluff, bid $55,000. That was actually the firm that the committee selected. And BKD out of Springfield, which is a very large nationwide firm, bid $73,000. And we really thought that was way over the amount on the other bids, and really just too large of a firm to be auditing us. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
The increase they have
per year after that. Is that about 3%?
I think that's probably right, yes.
And then, and if they're chosen, are we contracting them from 2014 to 2017, or is it yearly?
It's my understanding it'd be a 4-year contract.
Can we legally make a 4-year?
Yes, you can. You can't with me.
But yeah, you can do a 4-year agreement. The way our base terms and conditions are written in regards to this RFP, it does go by year, but it is a 4-year contract. But there is an option for each party, either KMT or the city, to be able to give proper notice and get out of the arrangement if proper notice is provided. But again, we're not anticipating that having to be the case, but that's part of the base terms and conditions. So any further questions, or me and Mark can be happy to help you.
On the 3% increase per year, is that just their bid, flat bid, or is it anticipated increased workload, or?
It's just a flat bid for each year. They all gave a certain bid for each year. Also, the committee consisted of 2 people in the finance office, 2 people from utilities, the city clerk, 1 from the police department, and then our CPA consultant that we've had on staff.
So recommendation is KMT?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any further questions or comments from the council?
I'd make the motion to move this to the voting session to be held tonight.
I second.
Motion is second to move item B to the voting session tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just so everyone knows, Councilman Branham got called out for his job, so he will return once he is finished. Item C, the City Council will review a request from the Police Department for the purchase of body cameras, services, and accessories from Taser International. Is there someone here to discuss
Yeah,
this?
Captain McLean, would you like to walk them through, please?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I'm before you tonight basically to discuss the issue of the sole source as it pertains to the cameras that you all had previously voted to purchase. We are going to go with a Taser product, Axon cameras. They are on Missouri State contract. In addition to that, we would like to include their digital evidence solution. It is a turnkey operation. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Been doing my best over the last week or 2 to familiarize myself with the system, and I hope that I can explain this sole source document enough.
Can you explain that for the benefit of the public, what it does? And
I hope that I'm able to explain it good enough. I will read the opening paragraph from the document itself. A sole source justification exists because the following goods and services required to satisfy the agency's needs are only manufactured and available from Taser International. This letter confirms that Taser International is the sole source manufacturer of the following hardware, and that the following digital evidence solution is only available directly through Taser International. It is not fully available in any other system. So basically what that is telling you is that there is no other system compatible with the Axon cameras. No other company in the world makes a system that will work with them.
So all the other police forces in major cities or whatever, they're all using the exact same thing?
I don't want to say all. There are a variety of camera manufacturers out there. Sykeston DPS has 23 units that uses the total solution. Columbia, Missouri Police Department uses 123. Those 2 agencies alone, I spoke with a representative from each today. Both spoke very highly of the system. So basically how it works is the officer will pick up his assigned unit out of a docking station. clip it on. It stays with him throughout the shift. That is his or her camera. At the end of the shift, he puts it into the docking station and walks away. During the 12-hour charging period, it will also upload all video to evidence.com with no user input whatsoever. It's just a turnkey operation. If we went with a different type of menu, a different type of camera, the officers would be required to export that video file and audio file somewhere, be it on our back end, or so there's that handling of the evidentiary items at that point, and also the time.
Well, you know, I definitely understand what you mean by, you know, turnkey, and it's a solid state, it's independent, it's automatic and goes to the like a cloud situation.
That is correct, yes.
I guess one of the concerns that, you know, people would have, is just, you know, it's just like some pharmaceutical companies have really excessive costs for the medications they have. So, you know, without being competitive, if there's no other source out there, you know, I mean, we're relying on their prudence of capitalism as to how high that cost is going to be.
Sure.
But if these other departments are using them, evidently it must be fairly practical for them to be able to get their hands on that and use it.
From speaking with I spoke with a representative from Sykeston and Columbia today, and I heard nothing but good stuff. They felt that they were very competitive in price, and that the money spent was well worth what they were receiving in return. You're eliminating a lot of variables there, just a dock and go type of situation.
Yeah, it makes it very sterile,
Sure.
very independent. I agree with you. I think that's excellent. Yeah.
Is there a maintenance plan that kind of comes along with this?
And I don't have that quote in front of me. This is a 5-year agreement.
Will they replace if something's damaged?
It is a 100% replacement, 24-hour turnaround. So if a unit becomes damaged or is defective, we call a 1-800 number, and they ship one out immediately, and it is to us within 24 hours. And that's for all 39 units for 5 years.
Just included pricing if you need it.
How will these be activated?
There is a switch on the camera, and they have a 30-minute buffering cycle. So basically, they're always recording in random access memory. It's not being stored to a solid state device. However, when the officer activates it, it goes back and picks up 30 seconds prior to him turning it on. So you kind of catch that pre-event, if you will. And of course, policies will dictate when those are activated and when they're not. Pretty much the officer gets out on a call or has interaction with the public, it's going to be done.
And these other departments really haven't been able to show you anything where there was any faults or bugs in the system?
No,
Yeah.
they spoke very highly of the system. They really did. One drawback that Columbia had was the amount of bandwidth. 123 units there,
Yeah.
so.
Do you suppose we'll have that same sort of issue?
I really don't think that we will. You're probably looking on average of 8 cameras to download every 12 hours, so I don't see that being an issue.
Okay.
Not with the new storage environment that was just purchased, it'll have no problem.
Will a dash camera tie in with these, or tie in with this?
Oh, this is in lieu of a dash cam.
Yeah,
Do what?
This is in lieu of a dash cam.
In lieu of-
Yeah, because this is actually going to be on the person of where the camera is, that goes in the car. This is going to be in lieu of that.
So you won't have the dash cams?
That's correct.
Okay.
yeah. The Tasers has said that they're going to roll out a new product the first or second quarter of next year. It is a dash cam / body camera built in, and it's still in the testing phase. It'll operate as a dash cam, and then you pick the unit up and stick it on your shirt. So we have no idea what it's going to cost. It hasn't been field tested, so.
Will they upgrade? Do we get upgrades with this purchase after a while?
There's
or
nothing built
okay.
into the contract for an upgrade, no ma'am.
Okay.
This is a total self-contained.
It is self-contained, yes it is. Guaranteed 12-hour battery life while recording, so you get a minimum of 12 hours. Yes.
What's the turnaround when you order them? How long is it gonna take to get them?
The way I understand it, when I spoke to our account rep that's handling that handled all of the RFQs, basically off the shelf.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I'm addressing is sole source purchasing is a standard practice in governments throughout the nation, and our purchasing policies, which we don't have a uniform purchase policy, which we're working on right now, will include that option. And in this case, is there a competitor for the unit itself, the actual camera that's on the person? There is, but there is not a competitor for the combination unit of this particular camera and the docking station and the software that comes with it. That's the stickler point. You can't take a competing camera and join it with this package. If we could, we would bid it out and see what we got out of it, but this is the only combo package like this, so it does warrant a consideration of sole sourcing.
I would think the bigger thing would be the, excuse me, the backup of the evidence that this company's got. Do they have the servers that it backs up to?
This will be stored on our servers.
On our server?
That's correct.
So you'll be able to access it at any time, basically, and, okay.
Is that sufficient? Shouldn't it be backed up more than one? I mean,
Well, yeah, with the amount of money we spent, I sure hope it's sufficient.
I mean, so that they said it was,
So
you're
we will.
shipping it off to a secured server. So
We will be replicating out off-site. So yes, there won't be just data just sitting on one server. That's correct.
In light of all of the shootings that have gone on, I think this is it's going to become a very common thing for municipalities to do this, so.
I agree.
Well, we're getting ahead of the standard. We truly believe that this is going to be a mandatory requirement for law enforcement agencies after the Ferguson events. And so we just want to be ahead of the curve. You got to think about it. It's not just getting a unit. We got to train these officers on how to use these units, what the expectations are going to be with the units. And so we're going to be ahead of the curve, which I'd rather be ahead of it than being reacting to possible incident.
Well, it's going to allow for additional safety of the officer. It's going to allow for better prosecution of perpetrators and reduce litigation from false claims. So it's very important we have it.
My hope is that it also lowers our liability for insurance and so forth for the police department.
Sure, and as Mr. Russian touched on, the Assistant Chief with Columbia Police Department told me this morning that the local prosecutor's office there has had to hire 2 additional full-time employees to keep up with the extra caseload. Because just simply the evidence that it provides. It's got some really good cases. So two additional folks there.
I'd think it'd cut down on the confrontation. I mean, when you're
I think it
speaking
makes
to
it,
somebody.
I believe it makes everyone act better.
And they know they're being
The
recorded, I
officers
think
and
they
the,
would behave
That is
themselves.
correct.
Everybody.
That is correct.
Yes.
okay.
Very informative. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you all.
Do we have a motion to move this forward to the voting session
I'll make a
tonight?
motion to move it to the voting session
I'll
tonight.
second.
Motion and second to move item C to the voting session tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, the City Council will review the proposed budget for the City of Poplar Bluff for fiscal year 2015.
Madam Mayor, I'm recommended that we postpone this item until November the 10th. The reason being is I was hoping to have the actual medical insurance rates by now. I do have the renewal rates, but I don't have the bids from the major carriers that we're hoping that will be better than our renewal price. So once I get that, which I'm expecting any day, then I can pop that into the budget. It's a major expense in the budget that I really don't want to have a hole in. So if we could defer until the 10th, we can do a full presentation of the budget for fiscal year 15 on the 10th, and then the deadline for changes of emissions any type of amendment would still be the 21st of November, and then we'll be ready for our public hearing, I believe, on December 1st. Pam, is that correct? I think it's December 1st.
It is.
So I apologize for the delay. I was hoping to get that data, but didn't quite get it. So if we could just postpone until the 10th, please.
Do we need a motion to postpone it? Or
No,
we'll
it's-
just leave it off the, okay. So item D is not on the agenda.
Unless I don't think so. Pam, do we need to make a motion to take it off? Okay.
Is that going to be a special meeting on the 10th?
Yes, please.
Make a motion, we postpone it till 10th.
Second.
Motion and a second to postpone item D to November 10th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving forward to item E, the City Council will review an agreement with First Southwest Company to provide financial advisory services to the city. Mr. Kaplan?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, if you followed the agenda for the TDD for Poplar Bluff, I made a recommendation and it was approved by the board to hire First Southwest for one transaction only. That was the debt that's being incurred by the regional TDD. Secondly, now there's the TIF district and the debt that will need to be issued for the reimbursement per our development agreement to 8 points. And I need a financial advisor to help go through that transaction. And so the TIF piece of it obviously is obviously under the city. We carry that debt under our financial statements. So I'm recommended we hire First Southwest just for this one transaction. We do have a request for proposals prepared. Pam has finished that up where we're going to be doing an RFP for a permanent placement of our financial advisor. But for now, we have current needs that are pressing that I need to get going on these individual transactions. And if you got any questions regarding that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
The TIF debt's being paid now out of the property taxes coming from that district.
Right now, there isn't any debt right now. Well, see, we have a promise to pay right now. So back in April of this year, there was a statement of cost that was issued to the city, and the city accepted it, and it was right around $6.4 million. And once we accepted those costs, the clock started ticking, so to speak, for us to pay them back that $6.4 million. So this will be the first issuance of debt for the TIF district. But you are correct, is the TIF district area, the way that it's going to pay for the debt is obviously shaved out of that district, meaning the baseline was created for 2011. So any assessed value above that 2011 value would be captured by the district and to pay for these bonds that we're talking about that we're hopefully going to be closed by, looks like about the end of January of 15.
The only other thing that struck me strange about this, First Southwest, gave a great presentation that one night. I know they mentioned several times the only time they would get paid was when a bond was issued. And I saw in this where it's a flat fee plus a 1%.
Yeah, that's due to their, again, it's a one-time engagement. They are a little more expensive when you do a one-time transactional engagement like this. But no, you're correct. That's exactly what they said. But yeah, is what you'll see the pricing that we'll get once we go out for an RFP will be just based on that type of arrangement.
So that $25,001 fee will just come out of the general fund, or?
It will definitely come out of our general fund. Now, it's possible. I have to ask our auditor. It's possible that that could be deemed as a capital cost, that we can take it out of other funds that are not impactful on the bottom line of the general fund. And so I'll look into that and report back. But I'm pretty sure you can, because this is a capital expense. So I would be surprised if I couldn't. So that would be what I would earmark towards paying for the fee at this point.
What kind of damage or liability would we be looking at if we waited until we had an RFP in place, RFP acquisition in place for this service?
Well,
Before we enacted on that?
every day since April, you've been accruing interest on that $6.4 million worth of debt at a tune of 8%. And so it's just under $200,000 worth of accrued interest that we have already accrued. And if we get going now, we're going to barely make January. And we've got until January, I believe it's the 27th, and that's the 6-month gap. And if we don't make it by January 27th or so, then the interest rate accrues at 10%.
Which would be at approximately how much additional cost versus the $25,000 we're going to pay now?
Oh, I mean, quite a bit. Let's see here. So right now, like I said, since April, we've accrued almost, like I said, we're close to almost $200,000 worth of accrued debt. So you're looking at what for about a month's worth of accrued interest, roughly, is what the fee that First Southwest is proposing.
I see.
It's right. I mean, just from a ballpark figure standpoint.
So, I mean, we'd have a savings by acting on it now versus having it.
Yeah, if we delay much further, and like I said, if we get beyond that January date, which I don't want to get beyond,
How long would the debt run at that 10% if we didn't make the January date?
it would it would keep going until we made them whole.
Okay.
So that's the deal.
Sure.
It was a financial incentive put into the to the development agreement for us not to drag our feet in issuing that debt to reimburse them.
Okay. Given the circumstances, if there's any discussion, I make a motion we move to the voting session.
Second.
Tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Motion and a second to move item E to the voting session to be held tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to action required items. Bill number 7746, the City Council will take action on an ordinance granting an easement to Laclede Gas Company located at Hillcrest Park.
Make a motion for first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second for first reading of bill number 7746. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, granting an easement from the City of Poplar Bluff to Laclede Gas Company and Missouri Corporation.
Move for second reading, bill number 7746.
Second.
Motion and a second for second reading of bill number 7746. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, granting an easement from the City of Poplar Bluff to Laclede Gas Company and Missouri Corporation.
Any comments or questions?
Move for adoption, Bill 7746.
Second.
Motion is second for adoption of bill 7746. Roll call.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir.
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Yes.
Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Bill number 7747, the City Council will take action on an ordinance rezoning property from M1 Light Industrial to C2 General Commercial with a conditional use permit for multiple dwellings in an existing structure.
Move for first reading of bill number 7747.
Second.
Motion is second for first reading of bill number 7747. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, rezoning property located at 1120-1126 South 11th Street, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, from M1 Light Industrial to C2 General Commercial with a conditional use permit for multiple dwellings in an existing structure by Jonas Duckett's Construction.
Move for second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second for second reading of bill number 7747. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, rezoning property located at 1120 to 1126 South 11th Street, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, from M1 Light Industrial to C2 General Commercial, with a conditional use permit for multiple dwellings in an existing structure by Jonas Duckett Construction.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of bill number 7747. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson?
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Bill number 7748, the City Council will take action on an ordinance selecting an audit firm for the City of Poplar Bluff.
Move for first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second for first reading of bill number 7748. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to execute a letter of engagement with Kraft, Miles and Tatum, LLC, certified public accountants, to conduct the annual audit for the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri for the fiscal years 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017.
Move for second reading is bill number 7748.
Second.
Motion and a second for second reading of bill number 7748. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, to execute a letter of engagement with Kraft, Miles and Tatum, LLC, certified public accountants, to conduct the annual audit for the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri for the fiscal years 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of bill number 7748. Do we have any comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson?
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Bill number 7749. The City Council will take action on an ordinance authorizing the purchase of body cameras, services, and accessories from Taser International for use by the Police Department.
Move for first reading of bill number 7749.
Second.
Motion and a second for first reading of 7749. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the purchase from Taser International of body cameras, services, and accessories for the Poplar Bluff Police Department.
Move for second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second for second reading of bill number 7749. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, authorizing the purchase from Taser International of body cameras, services, and accessories for the Poplar Bluff Police Department.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Motion and a second for adoption of 7749. Do we have any comments or questions? Roll call.
Councilman Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman DeGaris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir?
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian?
Yes.
Mayor Pearson?
Yes.
6 yes votes.
Bill number 7750, the City Council will take action on an ordinance approving an agreement with First Southwest Company to provide financial advisory services to the city.
Move for first reading of bill number 7750.
Second.
Motion and second for first reading of 7750. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, approving an agreement with First Southwest Company to provide financial advisory services to the city.
Motion for second reading.
Second.
Motion and second for second reading of 7750. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the City of Poplar Bluff, Missouri, approving an agreement with First Southwest Company to provide financial advisory services to the city.
Madam Mayor, Susan McVeigh, 211 Cayley Circle. Listening to the prior discussion, we normally don't workshop and vote something of this magnitude in one night. Since you're having the special meeting on November the 10th, I would like to see you all wait a week before you pass this so that you'll have actual numbers to see if that justifies the $25,000 charge and that 2% that Mayor Pro Tem Russian was considering. Since you don't have actual numbers, it's kind of hard for you all to make a decision whether this is really the right thing to do.
Well, my question was directed at the fact that if it was prolonged, how much cost we would derive from it. That was my question. And so that in where lies the issue. If we miss the date and we get into January, not only are we going to be paying everything up to that point, we're going to be paying, which might be $40,000 to $60,000. I did the math in my head, but might be wrong, but we're going to have 10% after January the 1st. So.
Actually, it'll be, I think January 28th is when.
28th.
Yeah, so it's going 10% accrual.
November 10th is not very far away. Would this be a problem to hold off until then?
I can wait.
That's fine
I
with
see
me.
no
That's
issue
fine
with
with
that. I
me.
actually think that's a pretty good suggestion.
That's fine with me.
Thank you for your consideration.
Make the motion that we move it till the 10th, then at the special meeting, just as the voting session to finalize it.
Second.
Motion is second to move Bill number 7750 to the voting session on November 10th. Do we need a roll call?
Yes.
Roll call.
Councilman DeGaris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Abshir.
Yes.
Councilman Tinsley.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russian.
Yes.
Mayor Pearson.
Yes.
That's 6 yes votes.
Okay. Item FF, the City Council of the City of Poplar Bluff will meet in a closed meeting in which they will discuss such matters which are exempted under the Open Meetings Law, Section 610.021.1 RSMO relative to litigation, and 610.021.3 RSMO relative to personnel.
Make a motion, we go into closed session after the city manager's report.
Second.
Motion and a second to move into closed session after the city manager's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Kaplan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I've been working on a lot recently, which will be released tomorrow, I hope. I don't see any reason why it won't be, is I'm working on a newsletter that will provide information for the public at large as to the background and as to what's going on behind the decisions I'm making. I feel that there's a lot of bad information being circulated in the public, and so it gives me an opportunity to give them the information directly from me. Right now, I'm looking at it in front of me now, it's roughly about 8 pages long. It provides multiple, like I said, layers of information. It's complete full disclosure of everything. And, if there's any part of this you want me to address in my report tonight, I can, but what it does is it really goes through all the major financial decisions that I've made, gave some background and some history to it, and supporting information with it. Also, what I recently added to it was I took the newspaper article that the DAR wrote about myself in Sunday's edition on November the 2nd, and I went through it point by point, and you'll see in red are their concerns, and then after that is my response to their concerns. I've identified several that was in the article. I've got roughly 11 items that I've adjusted, And so with that, I hope that the DAR will publish this. If not, I'll find other avenues to publish it around the public so they can get the information. The number one thing, if I had to put, the number one thing that is extremely misleading in the article is you'll see there's a discussion, obviously, between prior city managers and the reporter that was taking the article. And they're concerned about spending. They talk about debt. But when they talk about debt, they talk about city debt, they talk about the TDD, they talk about the TIF, and it's all kind of collaged together in a discussion, a dialogue. This will set the record straight, and I'm just giving you a little preview of it, but the TDD debt is not debt of the city. It's a completely separate entity. And so I talk about the details of that TDD, how it was created, talk about the development agreement, which is a very important piece of that, that element in a lot of ad nauseum detail. But I believe that needs to get out there. Also the TIF debt, which is financially a part of our financial statements. But however, if that debt defaults, the city is not held at risk. It's not an obligation debt. Not that, again, I don't want you guys to leave you with the impression that, well, that's I don't care what the amount is. No, we still care because we have a capture, as Councilman DeGuerre has indicated, that will just be elongated until we get the debt satisfied. And also it talks about, if I had to put a second point, is cash reserves was always addressed. I think it was both city managers, but Mr. Bagby and Mr. Lawson addressed their concern. I'm not sure where they're getting that quite from because, again, I haven't touched 1 cent of the city's cash reserves. The only time that we've touched it is when you guys approved a settlement agreement with Decorum. That was last meeting. That was for, what, $237,500, right around there. We have not touched the cable money. That's the only thing that's touched it, is that amount. I myself I'm encouraged to talk with anyone about this information. If anything, the DAR, it motivated me. It motivated me to make sure that I become a better city manager than what I am now. I'm not saying I'm a bad city manager, but you have to self-evaluate yourself, and you see this information going around, you're thinking, okay, well, I didn't do a very good job of informing my public. And hey, I'm willing to take that on my own shoulders and say, hey, well, I can do better than this, and that's why I'm going to now issue this on a regular basis. It's a good idea, it's a good tool. It tells people exactly where I'm coming from. That way, I think it will really cut down on the misinformation moving forward. But is there any question or concerns about anything you saw in that article? Like I said, I've got every point addressed in this newsletter that I would be happy to discuss with you.
I think we'll look forward to seeing the newsletter. You know, one of the things is some people might not be that familiar with best practices, you know, about how that's applied. In the healthcare industry, I see how it's applied. And I know with your involvement with the International City Managers Association and the GFOA, that I've seen examples where you're using best practices in applications you're doing for the city, for investment in the city and growth of infrastructure for the city. So I think that'll be ideal to be able to communicate that and let people really understand what those best practice principles are so they can actually compare apples to apples.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Again, the $5 million worth of debt we took on recently it wasn't taken lightly. And again, a comment was made that I didn't adequately prepare you guys for that discussion. Well, I think that was the largest packet you guys have seen. It was, if I remember right, it was well over, I think, 200 pages worth of data. I don't know how I could have informed you any more than that. I'm just, again, I'm not trying to take pot shots or anything at any individual. I like taking the higher road. But just an example is that if we're concerned about debt, which I think it's an admirable thing. By the way, the city has zero debt against its general obligation bonds, zero. And it hasn't been touched for a while. But where I think it's kind of confusing to me is a newbie here in this community. One of the things I mentioned in my interview, and I mentioned even when, starting as city manager, about my concerns about the Coliseum. And I think I've never swayed with that concern any differently. This community went into debt for tens of millions of dollars for the Coliseum. And on top of that, if you look at the last 5 fiscal years, the operational losses of that facility exceed $7 million. That's enough for a city hall. And that was not even mentioned at all in this article. And one of those previous managers made a decision to build that Coliseum, which is a good public service facility, don't get me wrong. It is a great facility. But I don't see the DAR raking them over the coals for it. And so I think that's interesting. And I can go on with a lot of other examples, but I'm not that kind of guy that's going to sit here and just sling mud at anyone. I'm here to be the best city manager I can be. I'm here to move the city in an aggressive direction and make a correction where I feel operations need to be. And I'm happy to talk to anyone in the public about decisions I'm making and why I'm making them. Again, I went to school 6 years to learn how to do this. I had an internship in how to do this. I was mentored by people on how to do this. I'm happy to compare my credentials to either of those two individuals. And my record stands for itself. Everywhere I've been, I've walked out of a community being more financially viable than what it was when I got there. And this is going to be no different.
Well, I know as a practice, as a citizen, over the last 10 years, there may be something come up that I was concerned with council. And I'd either come and listen at the meetings, or I'd come and address it at the podium, or I would call the city manager, or I'd call the mayor. And on a few occasions, I would contact all the councilmen. I think that's a responsibility citizens have. I know you made yourself available, and I think if people have concerns about spending and about the direction of Poplar Bluff, if they're a citizen or a business person, they should come to you. We had 5 ward meetings citywide, which we've never done before. And in the main, they were all productive. The first one probably the most productive. And we got to listen to the citizens. And the primary things was code enforcement and paved streets and sidewalks in almost all the ward meetings. And in the main, there really wasn't much discussion over what's getting put in Speak Out or in the editorials. So the bottom line is I would just encourage citizens to contact their councilman, contact the mayor, contact the city manager, if you have a concern or question, because dialogue is going to help both ways. And, I have a dedicated phone line. Somebody wants to contact me, it's 573-429-2022. And you can contact that number, and when I have the opportunity, I'll get back with you. But I think that I'll be willing to talk to anybody about concerns that they have to enlighten them of situations that we face and that we're trying to rectify.
Oh, and one more thing that I thought was really interesting in the article, if I may, Madam Mayor. The first thing you saw in the article on the very front page is how the debt we recently took on equaled or greater than 25% of 1 year's budget of the city. And this brings, I think, some insight into not only the individuals that made comment in the article, but it shows you how deep the culture is in believing that the city municipality is in two halves, being municipality of City Hall, and then there's utilities. The reason why I know that is because when you look at 1 year's budget of approximately all funds, $75 million, right? Was 25% of $75 million, $18,750,000. Now, I might be a little fuzzy on my math, but $5 million does not equal $18 million. Now, this is what proves my point, is when you go to the governmental funds, which is approximately $18 million, and you take $5 million against that, then it is 28% of the governmental fund. So that's probably what they're referring to. But that's my point, is they completely left out of that conversation the utilities. And I just, again, I'm trying, that's why I'm really struggling trying to teach the community, is it used to be an authority. It was separate at one time. It's not anymore. It is a city department. End of story. And so when you look at the broad picture of the city, it's everything together. And you have to analyze it that way. It's just, I guess I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, it's any kid fresh out of college is going to tell you that.
Well, I think when your newsletter gets out, it'll give people a chance to digest the information. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But
Very
anyway,
good.
I don't mean to go on and on, Madam
No, that's
Mayor,
very
but-
good.
But this will be released tomorrow, and I'm happy to discuss any of this with any concerned citizen, business owner, or any visitor.
You
Mr.
plan on
Kaplan.
Publish it on the website, or how you gonna publish it?
We're gonna blast it everywhere we can.
Yeah, Mr. Kaplan, I would love to share that on social media for all of my followers. I'm sure there are plenty of people that would be interested in reading that.
All right, good, thank you.
And I don't know, I didn't read the whole editorial or what was in the newspaper, but I can tell you that the people that on a daily basis that I see are thankful for the changes that are being made. There are some people who just do not have all of the information, and I'm thankful that you have put that in a combined document for them. So we look forward to looking at that.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do we have anything else?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to ask you if we could have Mark Massingham stay at the closed session tonight to answer maybe some questions on personnel.
Okay. Did you hear that, Mark? Okay.
Thank you.
I didn't understand the word he said. I didn't understand the word he said, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. He just wants Mark
I want
Massingham to
Mark
stay.
Massingham to stay here tonight during closed session because I want to ask him a couple questions. Personnel. Sorry I didn't speak into it correctly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a
anyone?
motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're all good.